new edition. That and more coming up shortly, but first, let's have the highlights. No hard feelings. DP Ruto says president is within his rights to endorse RAILA. $100 million gone with the rains. Newly commissioned bridge swept away by floods. And it's a dark day for the world as Russia rains missiles in Ukraine. Now, remember, we would like to hear from you. You can send us your feedback and suggest some of the stories that you'd like us to run for you on KBC Channel 1, on Twitter, Facebook, and also Instagram. Now, a newly built bridge in Kajiado East has collapsed following heavy rains that have pounded the area in the last few days. Pillars supported the bridge gave to pressure from the flash Wednesday night. The 100 million bridge was commissioned by a week ago by Kajiado Governor Joseph Olelenku. Purity Museo reports.
The state of affairs in Kajiado. Residents waking up Thursday morning to a carved bridge in the middle following flash floods being witnessed in the area.
Hii ni kazi tuliona leo asubuhi, tuliamkia tu tukaona shida kama hii. Lakini tunaijua serikali yetu wakati alipanga hii daraja itafanyika, tulikuwa tunajua tu baada kuna hiyo uono bado atatusaidia. Ile kitu tulikuwa tunatarajia, alisema tu apate usaidizi ya pande zote tatu, tukoshua tu baada kuna hiyo imani atatufanyia.
The bridge built to save the lives of people who had for long risked their lives crossing the Swollen River has collapsed barely a week after its official launch.
No money has been lost in this bridge because of two reasons. One, the contractor is still within the defect liability period. There is something we call in the law of contract defect liability period. This bridge, although we have commissioned last week, it is still within the hand of the contractor, and therefore the contractor has an obligation to repair the central pipe as it has failed.
Hii daraja ni yetu sisi wote kama Kajiado East, Kajiado South, Kajiado Central. Ile faida tumepata faida kubwa sana. Na hatuwezi kulaumu serikali yetu ya kaunti. Maana hii hasara ni ya kawaida, ni ya kila mahali.
Local leaders now say the contractor take full responsibility.
Ningependa kuambia wananchi hawa, tushapatia contractor maagizo akuje ama amri akuje hakikishe ile chuma ama paya ya katikati, hivyo ndio inaitwa kwa ile lugha technical, ile paya ya katikati imeweza kuamushwa ili daraja iweze kupitika.
Hii daraja ilikuwa inatunufaisha sana. Kama leo magari tuko na nyanya ziko kwa mashamba, sasa hivi manyanya zitaanza kuoza. Tunawatuma watutengenezee daraja kwa sababu ilikuwa inatusaidia sana.
The 100 million shillings pipe bridge constructed by the county government of Kajiado connected 3 sub-counties of Kajiado East.
Approved debt ceiling of 9 trillion. The committee therefore urges the National Treasury to amend the debt ceiling to enable them implement the budget as proposed.
The legislators opposed to the adjustment of the capping wondered why the leader of majority was trying to increase the ceiling through unconstitutional means.
How does the National Assembly ask the National Treasury to amend the debt ceiling, which is a statutory function, Madam Chair? My amendment of Honorable Kimunya is opening the ceiling of 9 trillion passed by this House by about 200 billion.
That 400 billion is the fiscal space that this country enjoys within the 9 trillion shillings debt ceiling that we have put. What we have done, Honorable Speaker, with the passage of 846 billion, we have literally expanded the debt ceiling illegally and procedurally.
Kimunya defending the amendment, saying the next budget will cut across 2 administrations.
If we were to limit the incoming administration through curtailing on the BPS, it means we have not only we will have reduced the legroom available for them to even implement their budget by 400 billion.
House should not open the debt ceiling through the back door, Madam Chair.
Honorable Duale has been leader of majority in this House. We have changed, amended debt ceilings in this House. We have never done it through BPS. You can never amend debt ceiling or change debt ceiling of the Republic of Kenya through budget policy statement. This is budget policy statement, and Honorable Duale, I know you are playing politics, but that is not how to do politics.
Okay, Honorable, is that this House adopts the proposed amendment by the Honorable Leader of Majority. As many as are there to say aye. And as many as have a counter opinion say nay. Honorable members, the ayes have it.
Kamche Menza for Prime Edition.
Now to politics, where Deputy President William Ruto says he welcomes President Uhuru Kenyatta's decision to back Orange Democratic leader Raila Odinga for the August 9th presidential race. Speaking in Kitui County, where he held a series of rallies, Ruto said the president is within his rights to support Raila.
Mimi nimekuja hapa kwa unyenyekevu kuwauliza kwa unyenyekevu tuunde serikali ya mwaka huu pamoja na watu wa Sekuru.
Ruto was in a series of rallies in Kitui County. Said he was not bothered with the decision by President Uhuru Kenyatta to endorse ODM leader Raila Odinga for the August 9th general election. Ruto said the president was within his democratic and constitutional right to support whoever he wishes.
Mimi naheshimu kwamba rais amesema yeye sasa anataka kwenda kuunga bwana Raila. There is no problem. Si demokrasia. Sio. Lakini na mimi niko na mpango ambaye nimewaeleza. Si kila mtu atakuja kwenu. Si mnajua hakuna mashindano kati yangu na Uhuru Kenyatta.
The deputy president calling on Raila to stop hiding behind the president and face him head on.
Siende kusimama nyuma ya Uhuru Kenyatta. Hapana. Wewe toka nyuma ya Uhuru Kenyatta ushindane na mimi.
He told the crowd that Kenya Kwanza team has presented Kenyans with its development agenda for consideration, saying they are the ones who will have the final say. His sentiments were echoed by leaders who accompanied him for the Kitui rallies.
Wananchi wa Kenya wana haki na wanataka kuwa na uwezo wa kuchagua rais wao. Hawatashurutishwa na mtu yeyote kuchagua mtu mwenye hawataka. Serikali yetu ya awamu ya 5 itahakikisha tunapigana na ufisadi Kenya hii.
Jana tumeona yale rais amesema kule Sagana, na sisi hatuna shida yote na rais wa Kenya.
Kenya pali tuliachwa na yule baba Kibaki.
Tukae pamoja kama wa Kenya, tuhakikishe ya kwamba Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta kama president leo, kesho tutakuwa na Raila Amolo Odinga.
The endorsement of Orange Democratic Movement party leader Raila Odinga as the presidential candidate by the Party of National Unity that produced the 3rd president of the Republic of Kenya has indeed solidified and added strength to Azimio la Umoja movement, setting the stage for a bruising battle in the August 9th polls. Timothy Kipnoso for Prime Edition, Bomas of Kenya, Nairobi.
Women leaders from Mount Kenya have welcomed the move by President Uhuru Kenyatta to endorse Orange Democratic Party leader Raila Odinga. The women have, however, urged the duo to ensure that the governor's seat in Nairobi is clinched by a woman. Elsewhere, Democratic Party presidential aspirant Justin Muturi has asked President Uhuru Kenyatta to retire from party politics after the end of his term.
Women leaders from Mount Kenya have hailed President Uhuru Kenyatta's Wednesday endorsement of Raila Odinga as the preferred presidential candidate in the August polls. The women, however, say they need the 2/3 gender rule to be fronted for women leadership in the country.
Aliona yule mtu wa kuachia kiti ni mzee ambaye anaelewa hii nchi. Tunakumbuka vizuri sana wakati ule kulikuwa hakuna amani tulipomaliza kuchaguana last time. Kulikuwa furugu kila pahali.
Kulikuwa kuagiza our president. Na jana vile ulituambia, tulisema kama umeamua baba die president na die atakuwa president. Si tuko nyuma yako.
Kiti yote ataweka wa mama, akiweka mwanaume anaweka mama.
And Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, has asked President Uhuru Kenyatta not to engage in party politics after his term ends to safeguard his legacy.
Yeye ako juu ya mambo kama hayo. Tunataka yeye hata akistaafu aendelee kupewa heshima yake, na tutaki yeye kuwekwa ati anaenda kuja kuongea mambo ya vyama.
Speaking during a presidential campaign tour of Nyandarua, Muturi urged residents to support him in his quest for the top office.
Ningetaka chama cha Democratic Party kiwe ndio chama ambacho kina nguvu zaidi katika eneo la Mlima Kenya. Ndio tuweze, tukishakipatia nguvu, tuweze pia kueneza ijiri yake katika sehemu zingine za Kenya kama vile vyama vingine vyovyote vya kisiasa.
Muturi assured the residents that the party is the voice to the voiceless. Ruth Wamboi for Prime Edition.
Well, news around the world, it's all about Russia and Ukraine. How will that affect Kenya? That and more coming up shortly after the break.
We are going to formally be launching the Liberal Democratic Party.
The Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops invites you to the 2022 National Lenten Campaign launched on Saturday, 26 February 2022 at St. Mary's Msongari Grounds. This year's theme is Unity in Diversity, promoting
And now to business, where the price of cooking gas is likely to go up in coming weeks due to rising price of imported LPG, increased appetite for clean energy, and inadequate LPG infrastructure. Energy Petroleum Regulatory Authority Director General Daniel Kipto says the remedy to this is Kenya should in the short term introduce an open tender system and spur competitive pricing along the value chain while developing the LPG infrastructure to allow regulation.
However, the reintroduction of a 16% VAT on cooking gas has elicited debate, with the majority of consumers decrying the high cost, while industry players attribute the surge to high cost of petroleum products globally.
Through the demand for petroleum products falling during the early days of COVID, there has been an increase which has been noted in the back end of the year 2021 after the government eased the COVID restrictions. Despite not being regulated by the authority, you will see from this report that LPG consumption in this country has steadily grown and has recorded close to 33,000 by the end of 2020. We do believe consumption would have been much higher if were not for the interruptions that were caused by the pandemic.
However, smallholder gas dealers accuse some big players of colluding to fix prices using tax as a cover.
Kenya has a competitive petroleum and gas market comprising of 71 registered oil marketing companies and 1,665 retail stations as at 2020.
Kenya has an ambitious target of attaining 100% clean household energy access by the year 2028. On the cost of power, the government is finalizing on plans for the second installment of the 15% retail price reduction.
And I'm sure everybody will have read the report of the Presidential Task Force, that there were a number of bold recommendations there, including on tariff reduction, but more significantly on the review and renegotiation with independent power producers, alignment of the institutional framework within the security and within the energy sector to make it more profitable, to make it efficient, to make it transparent, and to ensure that it provides sustainable energy for our group.
This electricity cost reduction, to be implemented in a month, is expected to boost socio-economic growth, lower the cost of living, as well as reduce the cost of doing business. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, Kenya will start feeling the impact of higher energy and food costs in the coming weeks due to the ongoing military and political tiff between Russia and Ukraine. The ongoing conflict is set to disrupt Kenya's importation of wheat from Russia and Ukraine, which stood at 11 billion shillings and 5 billion shillings respectively in 2019. The disruption has further sent global oil prices to hit $105 per barrel, indicating that Kenya must brace for higher fuel prices in the next round of review.
According to the Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency KEPROBA, in 2020, the total value of bilateral trade between Kenya and Ukraine stood at 10 billion shillings, while the Kenya Economic Survey of 2019 put the total trade balance between Kenya and Russia at 35.2 billion shillings, which is heavily skewed in favor of Russia. Kenya exports flowers and horticulture to Russia, while it imports wheat, machinery and petroleum products from Moscow. Wheat is the third most consumed food in Kenya, which has become expensive in the last 5 months, with an 800-gram loaf of bread going up by 30 shillings, while a 2-kilogram packet of wheat flour has jumped by 40 shillings in the last 6 months. These numbers are likely to deteriorate in the coming weeks due to disruptions and restrictions caused by the Russia-Ukraine war. Kenyans have been complaining about the rising cost of foodstuffs in the last 2 years, with the cost of fertilizer going up by more than 40% in the last 3 years. Kenya imports more than 50% of its fertilizer from Ukraine. The ongoing conflict is likely to send food prices soaring higher.
Today, she employs 75 workers on permanent basis and tens of others on need basis.
What I've tried, though not so much, ni kuemploy those who are still young like me. Wenye tunaweza relate, tunaweza ongea language zenye tunaelewana, People who can understand and work for long hours. People who can, they have a vision, They can be motivated by me. Hawaoni tu ya kwamba huyu ni mtoto atatuambia nini, hapana. Wanaona huyu ni mmoja wetu. If she has made it, we can also make it.
Usichague kazi, usibague kazi. Pesa haitajiandika hii pesa ilikuwa ya kazi fulani ama ilikuwa ya huku na huku. Unapata pesa unajikimu nayo.
She has made a tremendous strides and carved a niche in the market, establishing her presence in Vihiga, Kakamega and Kisumu counties.
Quality has been our number one key, and again, prices, we make sure that it is really, really affordable. As much as it is good quality like the established brands, tunahakikisha kwamba bei ni yenye mwananchi wa kawaida anaweza afford.
She mills up to 1,200 bales of flour each day to satiate an ever-growing demand for her produce. She challenges other young people to take risks and create employment rather than wait to be employed. She, however, says before embarking on any venture, one must do thorough research on the industry.
Ni kujaribu. As a young person, you still have a long way to go. Kikiumana, it is okay. If all goes well, well and good pia, unasonga mbele.
But what challenges does she face?
Unga si unga tu, ati unatoka kwa mahindi hadi kwa unga. There are so many things involved hapa katikati, so you must do your research very well. Ili uhakikishe by the time unaanza you have a know-how of what you want. If the government can come in na wapeane an incentive for us who are still young, ya kwamba when you want to start, tutakulipia maybe cabs, we shall cater for health, we shall cater for those small things. It will be so easy for us, because I took like 3 to 6 months to raise these funds.
Nancy plans to expand her business venture into animal feeding process. Like any other young Kenyan, Nancy is a social media enthusiast. Her favorite medium, TikTok. Yusufar reporting for Young and Industrious.
Thank you, Yusuf, for that inspiring story. Now, agriculture stakeholders have backed deepening the use of ICT to lure the youth into the agricultural sector that is dominated by an aging population. Planning Chief Administrative Secretary Eric Wafuko says an evidence-based policy-making system has been put in place to address the issue of the youth shunning agriculture in favor of white-collar jobs.
The average age of a Kenyan farmer is at 60, a trend the government is keen on reducing by making farming attractive to the youth. Planning Chief Administrative Secretary Eric Wafuko says an evidence-based policy-making system has been put in place, and the youth's engagement is necessary to feed in information that will go into policy shifts that will eventually benefit the agricultural sector.
And to share a platform through which our ideas find their way into government policies, programs, and projects to begin to influence public policy and to begin to influence the programs that emerge and to begin to influence the project that take place.
Among measures employed to make agriculture attractive to the youth is increased funding as well as deepening the use of ICT in the agriculture value chain.
So the solution to unemployment is growing the economy and multiplying opportunities through which young people will find employment.
Agriculture stakeholders note that value chains should be strengthened and the challenges the youth face should be at the core of policy making.
Our hope is that once the evidence comes out, it will be easy for them to mainstream that evidence into the policy-making and decision-making processes.
But the number of youth in the agricultural sector still remains.
Community are imported. Regional manufacturers are operating at a cost disadvantage due to their scale, expensive asset base coupled with obsolete technology. In tonight's edition of EAC Integration, Betty Kiptum highlights how the EAC Regional Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Plan seeks to reduce imports.
East African Community member states spend $5.3 billion on pharmaceutical products annually, 70% of them imported. The EAC Regional Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Plan is seeking to reduce imports to less than 50% and support expansion of product portfolio of EAC farms to cater for more than 90% of ailments.
Africa continues to lag behind in adoption and use of technologies to solve African health challenges. In particular, the mining and use of data, and big data at that, is quite wanting. This is a tragic situation since Africa does not lack talent. What we lack is a structured way of doing these things that fully and purposely engages especially young people with talent.
Manufacturers in EAC are strongly present in the anti-infectives product category, but they miss out in immunological and cardiovascular categories, which have a larger market share in the region. Even though locally produced medicines cover 66% of ailments, the region faces capacity challenges in manufacturing advanced formulations.
In order for the EAC pharmaceutical manufacturing sector to capitalize, we're working consistently on quality standards to build customer trust and confidence. And the EAC domestic pharmaceutical manufacturers should utilize the EAC Medicines Regulatory Harmonization Scheme.
We have to ensure access to affordable medicines and medicines products for our East African community citizens. It's a process towards 2050. And we have to work together in an integrated way, mobilizing all stakeholders so that we can actually build synergies and achieve the best we can achieve.
From the trade perspective, Desai says enhanced integration would reduce regulatory barriers and broaden export markets.
Building that capacity for an end-to-end ecosystem as far as a supply chain to work together, to collaborate together, to synergize, and to share opportunity because of volume is absolutely a fundamental issue. And that way, we'll be able to reduce the biggest concerns we have: cost, time, and transaction efficiency.
The plan targets to have at least 5 companies in the East African community producing more advanced pharmaceutical formulations, such as small volume injectables and double-layered tablets.
The COVID-19 pandemic exposed the need for a strong supply chain framework, both locally and regionally. EAC member states are now looking to ensure that at least 50% of the health product imports come from the regional bloc. How can they do this? It means ensuring that a strong manufacturing sector is in place and that the supply chain is efficient. Betty Kiptum, Prime Edition.
Thank you, Betty Kiptum, for that report. Now, some residents of Narok County have embraced a new sweet potato variety introduced by a U.S. expatriate in efforts to diversify from pastoralism. Brian Ash,
drought tolerant, and also they reproduce so we can share with our locals, with our neighbors.
He is also stepping up training for farmers on proper sweet potato husbandry.
Hiyo njaa watu wako nayo saa zingine unaweza avoid kabisa kama unapanda shamba na unapanga hiyo shamba vizuri, then kila kitu inamea na inamea mwaka mzima. Hakuna siku tumekosa chakula kutoka shamba letu tu.
This whole farm, this garden of ours, it's just a demonstration to show the community that permaculture can work and anybody can grow food.
Benson Roba for Farmways.
To magical scenes now, where marine safari on a yacht or a traditional dhow could be the most charming adventure for those headed to the WATAMU Marine National Park. Tonight on Magical Scenes, Irene Muchuma Odim shares the cruise experience in Kilifi County.
Setting the sail in a traditional dhow is arguably a romantic way to look for dolphins and whales at the WATAMU Marine National Park. Dolphins and whale families have lived here for as long as those who have visited can remember. At least twice in a year, I pursue WATAMU as a tourist destination. After breakfast, the dhow captain takes us to the harbour to board this traditional lantern sail dhow. One that has luxury worth your time and money. Temperatures are normally high at the coastal parts of Kenya, so never mind about the sun. Come with me. We are briefed on spectacles to watch out for among the members of the Marine Big Five. The WATAMU Marine Association has been studying these intelligent mammals and still does. Visitors are not allowed to feed the dolphins, neither are they permitted to throw objects in the water to attract their attentions. The mammals are playful and curious. Nevertheless, the magic is how they jump out of the water, increasing visibility for would-be visitors.
Discovering Kenya has been the most amazing part of it. Really, the whole coastline, I think, is very undiscovered. The ocean is beautiful, the sea life is so alive, and especially the mangroves here in WATAMU are so alive and beautiful. We did a mangrove flow this morning with the new moon, floating our bodies out into the sea through the deep mangrove. It was really incredible and special.
Snorkeling and lazily lying on board is part of our day. Lunch is served on board. Snacks are available throughout the cruise to the departure harbour. This is likely when the African sun sets. Getting back to the mainland along the Middle Creek opens is simply magical. The ecosystem is ideal for birding, fishing and botany studies.
Hii place inakuwa ni nature na pia masomo pia yanatokea hapa kulingana na mikoko, kulingana na crabs tunaowaona hapa, kulingana na birds ambao wanakuja from Russian, from Europe, na wanakuja kama kutembea, na pia hao wanapata kila kitu hapa kwa sababu hapa ni mahali ambapo is the right place.
Irene Uchuma Odim, Magical Sense in the county of Kilifi.
Now, online trading is increasingly becoming popular among novice investors with little time, resources, or financial literacy to engage brokers and investment experts. However, current investment options in Kenya lock out the vast majority due to their complexities and market access and high management fees. Tonight on Tech One, we'll look at how innovators can leverage technology to trade.
And they say, the returns, what are the returns, right? So we are working very hard as Ndovu to provide education first and let everyone know investing not just about returns. We need to align it to your risk profile, your personality, and your intention for the future.
With it, it's also about the critical mass of informed citizenry that understand this technology. Alanauko, Tech One.
Ili kupata wewe si wakale kama skiza tune kwenye simu yako, dial *811 *965#.
Wewe si wakale, usibaki pale pale. Akikujaza imani tele, utafika kwa kilele. Maana hata imekuwa mtu akiwa ndani ya Kristo, amekuwa kiumbe kipya. Ya kale yamepita na tazama, yamekuwa mapya.
Kupata wewe si wakale, bonyeza *811 *965#. Kumbuka ni *811 *965#.
The Kenya Bureau of Standards is at the center of Kenya's industrialization agenda. The standards body is being reformed to realign it with the new manufacturing realities. Where are we in these reform agenda.
We have been progressing, making significant progress in terms of automation, which is reducing the human interface between how we interact. And that is one of the areas where we have seen that the best we can be able to achieve is when we have automation.
This week on Inside Government, I talked to the Managing Director of Kenya Bureau of Standards, Lieutenant Colonel retired Bernard Njeraine, on what the body is doing and what is the future of KEBS under the new manufacturing agenda. Watch the interview right here on KBC Channel 1.
Oh, good evening. My name is Richard Munga with the latest in the world of sport. Now, our bulletin tonight, of course, starts on an unfortunate note whereby after months of uncertainty, World Football Governing Body FIFA has confirmed what most Kenyan football fans feared for months now. FIFA has issued a ban on Kenya owing to what it terms as interference by a third party. This follows months of threats from FIFA after Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed disbanded the Football-KENYA Federation National Executive Committee and replaced it with a caretaker committee in November last year. Committee members were thrown out of office following allegations of financial misappropriation, with the then FKF chair Nick Mwendo being arraigned in court to answer charges brought against him. The ban means Kenya will not participate in the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers, international friendlies, as well as other competitions affiliated with FIFA. Now, let's hear about that from FIFA President Gianni Infantino.
I want to mention we had to suspend two of our member associations, Kenya and Zimbabwe, both for government interference in the activities of the football association. So these associations are suspended from all footballing activities with immediate effect. And they know what needs to be done for them to be readmitted or for the suspension to be lifted.
Of course,
both will leave the country tonight for Russia.
But before we wrap up, the Champions League final set for May has been taken away from the scheduled place of host. That is the stadium that was meant to be hosting that in the city of St. Petersburg in Russia. Of course, that follows what happened last night, whereby Russia invaded their neighbors, Ukraine. The expected venue is set to be announced soon. Champions League matches last night, of course, Ajax and Benfica playing out to a 2-2 draw, while Manchester United poor performance resulting to a 1-1 draw away to Atletico Madrid in Spain. For more of that and, of course, other updates, remember to stay tuned into KBC subsequent bulletins. That's it for me. Do have a good night. I'm Richard Munga.
Well, I'm just reading some of your comments. John from Mombasa, Opio, says he did enjoy the story on Brian Ash, who was talking about potato farming, but in Swahili. Thank you so much for your feedback. Remember, if you'd like to see some of our stories and get more details on them, you could check them out on our website, KBC Channel 1. From me and the rest of the team, we wish you a good night.